Hi, my name is Roseanne Quintero, and this is my EDL 853 Module 13. Hi, my name is Roseanne Quintero, and this is my EDL 853 Module 13 case study, when a student's rights are wrong. If we look in the situation, the what, a student named Miguel Hernandez and his family moved to Dover for the strong academic and athletic programs at Nottingham High School. Miguel was a talented football player, and in this case study was a sophomore on the varsity football team. He was a starter and was a talented football star. He was injured on a football game, which led to him being paralyzed. Upon Miguel's return to school after a physician's release, he was wheelchair bound. This led to the counselor changing his science class due to wheelchair accessibility. Miguel's parents involved an attorney, accusing the school of denial of equal classroom access and his right to a free, appropriate public education. If we look at who is involved in this case, we obviously have Miguel, the student. Those involved at Nottingham High School directly are the principal and Mrs. Gusman, who is the counselor. Obviously, Miguel's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, and then the family's attorney, Howard Carey. If we look at when this happened, it occurred in Miguel's sophomore year of school during the fall football season. The injury itself happened on the football field during a Friday night game. Where the meeting and the accusations occurred were in the principal's office in the high school. However, Miguel was in a biology class, which is the root of all of those problems. We could also incorporate the biology class as a location. If we look at legal and ethical issues of this case, we are potentially in violation of free appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, in violation of Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as ADA. When we look at the ethical potential issues, we are looking at the well-being of all students, equitable access, and post-secondary preparation. A synthesized summary of the situation would be Miguel was injured during a football game his sophomore year, leaving him paralyzed and wheelchair bound, which led to a legal counsel at school questioning his access to free appropriate public education after a change in his academic schedule because of the location of the biology classroom. If we look at the people, we have Miguel Hernandez, who's a sophomore. His injury in a game led to paralysis. He's wheelchair bound, was in biology class, but removed to an alternate science course. The principal, he's the principal of the high school. It is the only high school in the district, so he is the administrator and oversees 3,200 students. Mrs. Gusman in this situation is the counselor, removed Miguel from the biology class. However, she did ensure that graduation requirements were fulfilled with this alternate course. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez are the parents. They're advocating for their son and his rights. And then Howard Carey, he is the attorney representing Miguel, accusing the high school of denial of FAPE. If we look at the sources of power, Miguel possesses a passive power. He is not in an authoritative role due to his age and his position, but he is the one that this situation is revolved around, and he does have the conferred right of free, appropriate public education and equitable access. The principal is in positional power. He is the legitimate leader of the school itself. He has the authority. Mrs. Gusman has the personal power. It was her choice to help. In this case, it unfortunately didn't help, but she expressed her personal power due to her role. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez also exert personal power. They're choosing to be involved in protecting and advocating for their son. Again, it's that expressed personal power. And then Howard Carey has positional power. He has the legal influence, and he is an authoritative figure to the Hernandez family. If we look closer at Nottingham High School, it's the only high school in the district, home of 3,200 students. They have a successful football program. Renovations in the past have taken place, but not all buildings are updated to state and federal standards, unfortunately. And in the community itself, it is a very inclusive, collaborative effort. The stakeholders involved, the school administration, staff members, more importantly, Mrs. Gussman and the biology teacher, the parents, Miguel, the school board and district leaders, legal counsel for both the family and potentially the district, and then the community. The impact this may have is possible litigation, a negative impact on the school culture and staff relationships, a direct impact on Miguel and his graduation requirements, and access to FAPE. As the principal, you would need to seek immediate consultation with district leaders, potentially the school board, maybe even district legal counsel, the family, and school staff. A decision could be made after appropriate investigation, communication, advisory from district legal counsel, and guidance of state and federal laws. If we look at 3 different options, you could go with option A, which would be a non-responsive option. This would be to ignore the litigation request, proceed as is, stand by Mrs. Gussman and her decision. Option B would be a more passive response. You would simply defer as the principal to district leaders and legal counsel. You would simply follow their lead. Or option C, in my eyes, would be an active response. You would make the decisions on campus. You would obviously inform district personnel, but these decisions could include moving the location of the biology class, collaborating with staff members and advocating for a 504 plan, and possibly educating your staff on state and federal guidelines. If we look at the consequences for those 3 options, option 1, ignoring the situation, essentially, it would obviously cause tension with the family, potentially could have a negative impact on the community, and you would obviously extend that possible legal action. If you go with the passive action and following district lead and you taking the backseat, you might have tension amongst staff, a delayed response because district leaders are going to have to converse with legal staff and then get back to you. Option C, taking action into your own hands on your campus. Unfortunately, you're taking action after the situation occurred. You potentially have disgruntled staff members, but you are adhering to federal guidelines and are trying to make right of a situation. If we evaluate these options more in depth, looking at the pros and cons of each. Option A, it might be easy. You support your staff. The con, obviously, is the legal action that might ensue, tension with a family that has a lot of upheaval in the community. They're seen in a positive light. They have many sons. They're part of the football community as well. This could lead to negative impact. And then, unfortunately, the well-being of one of your students is being ignored. If we go into option B, the pro is obviously you're following your supervisors and district legal counsel's advice. You're correcting a wrongdoing and supporting a family. The con is potential tension with staff members. You are going to have to reprimand Mrs. Gussman in a delayed response. Looking at option C, a pro would be a demonstrated knowledge or action. Again, you're supporting that family and advocating for Miguel's well-being. A con is after the fact. Unfortunately, we can't fix that situation. And then you also might have tension with staff members. In my personal opinion, and after analyzing this situation, option C would be the best option. This option allows you to be proactive in a sense and address the situation that's on your campus. This implementation would be the most attentive. You would follow legal guidance and protect the well being of all students. By making this decision, you're able to evaluate the situation independently as the school's principal. You're demonstrating your knowledge. You're communicating effectively to necessary stakeholders. You're attempting to maintain a positive and collaborative relationship. Information to consider in making this decision. You need to ensure success and protect your students across all campus, no matter what situation they may be faced with. But they're all entitled to rights, and it is your job as the principal to protect and provide FAPE to all students, and in addition to the other rights they have. You also, at a high school level, have to prepare your students for post-secondary paths. So by doing option C, you're allowing Miguel to continue with his coursework, and then inspiring and educating staff. You're going to have to educate the education of Mrs. Gussman and other staff members would probably have to follow suit. You're demonstrating problem-solving abilities to others in your school, and you might inspire them to promote the well-being of everyone. So moving along with option C, the implementation process. First, you obviously are going to express an understanding to the family of their concern and reassure them of your role to support Miguel and provide and protect his rights. Next, you're going to inform your supervisors and district leaders of the situation on campus. Provide them with your thoughts and your corrective action plan. You are going to re-enroll Miguel in his biology class and then move the location of that classroom to a location on campus that he can access in his wheelchair. Next, you could discuss the possibility of meeting with the necessary participants and providing Miguel with a 504 plan. This would obviously come with the parents' blessing and wishes, but you as a principal could explain why this would be beneficial for Miguel, especially in his upcoming years and graduating. Implementing this option could also lead to additional further steps to enhance policies around your campus. One, you're going to have to educate all staff members on federal and state guidelines and the importance of this accessibility and free appropriate public education. Secondly, you're going to have to push the district to continue to fund the remodeling of the buildings. All buildings should be wheelchair accessible. And lastly, you potentially could explore establishing a parent organization to assist with awareness of equal access to student rights and an inclusive culture. Here are my references for my sources of power in education. And lastly, here are my responses for the prompts regarding Standard 3, equity, inclusiveness, and cultural responsiveness. Thank you very much.